挽回。
Daddy.
I'm sorry. Every time they play that, it gets funnier and funnier. Well, good evening, everybody. Good morning to some. Good afternoon to some of you guys as well. We have another cast going. We are actually very behind, but it's okay. I am here, Bunkai Merc. I also have my best brother with me, my buddy, my go-to, my ace boom coon, Master D Maito. Cue it up.
And yell this from the depths of your heart.
My soundboard decided it was going to start lagging right as I did that, so it doubled up on me. Oh well. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Full Nerd Academia podcast. As Bankai Merc said, I am your co-host, Master D Maito. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know how we always started. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. I'm a little under the weather right now just because been getting sick since a little bit last week. It's part of the reason we didn't go last week because I wasn't feeling very well. Still not feeling very well this week, but as you can kind of hear in my voice, but
Yeah, definitely sound better than you did last week.
Right, and then given the sheer amount of stuff that's been going on this week in terms of like entertainment, like we had to freaking jump on here and start talking about some stuff. So yeah, I was like, yeah, we can't skip this week.
No, we definitely couldn't. There was no way. There was no way we're skipping this week. Oh, you know what? I did not watch episode 2 of Invincible. I'm sorry, guys. I had to say that out loud.
I'm gonna smack hot fire from you.
No,
dog.
I completely forgot it comes out on Fridays, bro. You don't understand. I was so focused on two things. I know, bro. I was so focused on Thursday.
It comes out before Loki.
Yeah, I know. And then I watched Loki on Friday. That's the separate. I called out on Friday just so I can make sure I watch Invincible too. Well, I also had some stomach problems because I had them BGs. But hey, that's a long story. Anyways, I completely forgot. I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, cue it on me. Cue it on me. I deserve it. Definitely watching it tonight. So you can still spoil. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it regardless.
Sorry, we can we can talk about episode 1 because we haven't gotten to episode 1. I can't remember how far behind we are on talking about Loki. Is it the last 3 episodes or is it the last 2 episodes?
It's the last 2 episodes. We talked about the
last 2. You're right.
Yeah, we talked about episode 4, 3 and 4 together. I think we did. Now we're on 5 and 6.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, shoot, man. Did you want to jump in on that, or was there some? And there is some news. There is some news to talk about. So I mean, it's kind of up to you. What do you want to do? You want to talk some news first?
I gotta talk. I gotta talk about Loki because.
Yeah. Let's holler about Loki because give me just a second though, guys. Let me get this. What's this all about?
I'm gonna say please cue that music. You know I can't go without the music.
Hey, okay, we can go with that.
And I need my titles. Come on, man. You need to get on your game. There we go.
What are you talking about? All I had to do was spoilers, guys. Spoilers galore for episode 5 and episode 6, aka the season finale of Loki.
Yes, it is the season finale. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
season finale, not series finale, right?
No, season. It's the season finale because they didn't. Well, we don't know for certain, but they definitely said it was a season finale.
Okay. All right. We'll stick with that.
Boy. Episode 5?
Episode 5 goes pretty hard. It's basically Loki is the only one who's left after the TVA explodes.
Oh wait, that's yes. You're right.
So end of episode 4, the TVA gets disintegrated because Victor Timely gets absolutely annihilated.
Disintegrated. He caught that. He caught that.
Annihilated.
Oh no, he caught that Wanda. What she did to Mr. Fantastic. That's what he caught.
Right.
That unravelment. I was like, damn.
That's something I've seen on I've seen like making its rounds on like social media is like everybody's like, is this Marvel's like new like snapping now? Is like anytime somebody dies, they just get disintegrated into like string cheese. Like, they did it with Wanda.
Nah,
Wanda did it fantastic. Like it's all throughout Loki season 2. There's a few other places I can't remember where it pops up in like since Multiverse of Madness, but it's been like that's the way that instead of the dusting, like it's the spaghettiing now. So like,
nah, but the spaghetti and for Mr. Fan. All right, so if I know I said this before, but I'm gonna say it again. I absolutely despise the Fantastic Four, and I really hate Reed Richards. So like that, I don't. I'm a big I hate Reed Richards. So when he got unraveled, I was crying, and I really mean crying, laughing when I saw that. I like Victor Von Doom, so I'm a Doom fan. I'm gonna admit that
yes.
proudly. I'm a Doom fan. But man, the tears that was rolling down my eyes when I saw him get unraveled like that. Well, Black Bolts was funny too because she's like, "Yeah, shut up," blew his head off.
It
I
was
was
so
like,
bogus.
"Damn, she did him dirty."
Yeah, for real. She did all of them dirty, but that's
Yeah, but those
that's
gotta be
neither
first.
here nor there. That's a tangent,
Yeah.
right? So like we were just talking in general about how like Marvel's moving towards the like, yeah, everything's like silly putty string now. Like, yeah, that's how we're killing folks nowadays. No more dusting, no more like blood and guts or anything. Well, not that they ever did blood and guts anyways. But
No.
no more like, oh, they just get shot and like, damn, they're down, or like they're getting crushed by buildings and shit. It's like, yeah, string cheese. So,
Yeah,
but that's
the
the
way to
end
go.
of Loki episode 4, and it brings us into Loki episode 5, where
Mhm.
Loki's the only one who survived the ending of the TVA, which like the time loom, I guess, like completely ruptured, broke, and then like destroyed the TVA and seemingly wiped out everything in existence. But it's like at that moment, I guess Loki time slips, and then
Because he
I
panicked.
can't remember where he ended up first. Where did he go first?
He actually bounced around before he ended up in one spot. He bounced around from no, it
Was
wasn't
it like
McDonald's.
was it from was no well didn't he bounce around like from he started off in the TVA like in the past, right?
Yes, so he
Wasn't
went to the TVA. No, it wasn't the TVA.
before he could control it, he was just slipping like
Slipping through places. Yeah,
without
'cause
knowing what was going on, other than like he was just he knew his time slipping, he just didn't know for
where he
sure
was
like
at.
where he was at.
Yeah. So like he was all right. So the funny thing about it was he's time slipping through places because he knew in his mind that he needed to find people that he knew he needed to find people. So I forgot the first place where he time slipped. I knew I should have watched it again just to make sure. But I know
Right.
he time slipped through where Sylvie was at. OB
Where Mobius was at.
Mobius,
OB.
like he did, yeah, he was OB Mobius, TVA because he went to
Ooh.
go see himself.
You know what? Yeah, so I think it started. He time slipped in the TVA, like literally like a few seconds,
Right before he
like
found
in
himself.
the past, and then right before he found himself, and then like he found his future self like a few seconds in the future,
Mm-hmm.
reading the TVA handbook, right?
Yep.
And then he time slips again, and I think the first place he lands is in, it's like 1950s San Francisco or something like that. That's where he sees Casey.
Yes, he was in. Yeah, he was at Alcatraz.
Yeah,
He was at
That's where he
Alcatraz,
sees-
and they were escaping. And
I-
this, I think, funny
yeah.
thing is that's when the first escape, first Alcatraz escape happened too. I believe that's the first
Okay.
escape of Alcatraz.
Okay, that makes sense
So he-
then.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
he
cool
played
little
that moment, and then he ended up at the I can't remember the black lady's name. It's gonna bother me. And he ended up
B-50.
there. Yes, and she was a doctor, so he ended up there.
Mhm.
Time slip, and then she looked back like what? I thought I just heard something. And then he ran into Mobius, and then OB, and the OB was the last one. So then he started. No, I skipped one. He also seen Sylvie, and then he didn't see Sylvie. He ended up in front of it in the McDonald's, and then time slipped again. and then that's when he stopped at
And
OB.
yeah, right. And it's really so that whole thing with OB was really funny. We find
It
out who
was.
OB is, like what his life was on the timeline, right? He's a science
Yo,
fiction author,
yes.
and
And
he's
he no, he
also
was no,
a
he was
physics
really a
professor.
physics teacher. Yeah, a physics professor. Excuse me. You're right. He was a physics professor that wanted to write books, um, science fiction novels, and he's out in the library trying to buy his own book. No, not in the library. He was
Right.
in a bookstore trying
He's
to
at a
buy his own
bookstore.
book.
He's at a bookstore trying to buy his own
That's
book.
hilarious. It was like, oh yeah, I just found these, and he's like, yeah, these are not ringing up. The manager of the store was like, stop coming in here to buy your own books. So I was like,
Well,
damn,
like he's basically trying to sell his own books. He's like bringing them in and like
yeah,
finding them on the shelf, bringing them up to the front, and then he's just like, "Oh, how come you guys don't have any more books from this author? Like, he's really great, and I really loved like this book from him and this book." And he's just like naming off other books that tie in, I guess, to whatever this book is that he has. And then somebody was just like, "Are you trying to buy your own book? Like,
yeah. That was the
stop
cashier.
doing this."
And then that's when the manager came in and was like, yo, stop coming in here and doing this. But she opened up the back of the book and realized it was him. Yo, that joint had me in tears.
That's just so funny. And then that's just like it fits his personality because then you're just like, oh, that makes sense why this dude is like why he's that quirky, like why he is this guy in the
Yup.
TVA. So it's just funny as hell. So then Loki ends up like kind of staying there for a little bit, like not being like he's not time slipping at this point. Like for some reason he's stuck in this time. He's able to talk to OB. Um, he's able to talk to OB. They're trying to figure out like
Why is he
what
time
to
slipping like
do.
this?
Why
No,
is he
it was
time slipping? Like
yeah. He was trying to figure out why he was time. Like he was trying to explain. Oh yeah, you're right. No, he was trying to explain like what's going on. TV. He was trying to explain to the TVA, and then why he was time slipping. So they were trying to figure out how he could time slip to go see like the people that he needs to see, and because he knew it was uncontrollable.
right. And so OB was basically like, well, just control it. Like the only way to stop time slipping is to control your time slipping. And so
Hmm.
Loki's basically like trying to figure out how to do that. So he ends up time slipping, I think, again, and going to Mobius's timeline for a
Yep.
bit, right?
Yeah.
He ends up
Literally
going
went to
to
go talk to him in the
Mobius's
store.
timeline for a bit, right? He goes to talk to him in the well, it's like a motorsports like store, right? And of
Hmm.
course, that's where he gets his love of freaking jet skis, is because he's like on the timeline, he sells jet skis for a living. And he's always
Sure.
trying to freaking, push the jet skis and shit. And nobody seems to want to buy him and shit. So
Yo,
like
that
we
was
learned that
hilarious.
his real name is Don. He's
Hmm.
got two kids.
2 sons.
Uh, yep, two boys. And then so just to kind of take a quick tangent away from this, I saw a short, or maybe it was like I can't remember. I saw something where somebody was like paralleling that Don could be an Odin variant. I don't necessarily buy into him being an Odin variant very much, but I think it was more like, hey, these are some cheeky Easter eggs. Don has two sons. Uh, the younger one seems to be a little bit of a mischief,
Yep.
mischievous little kid. His bike is green, and then the older son, the one that he sent after the younger kid to kind of wrangle him in, uh, you know, uh, his bike was red, and he seemed to be the more like responsible one, so to speak. And I was like, I think that's more of like a little cheeky Easter egg, like, hey, look at this, like parallels between the brothers and shit like that. I don't think it's necessarily that Don is supposed to be an Odin variant or whatever.
That'd be kind of cool
But
if it was though.
but now that I'm thinking about it, Don is just one letter away from being Odin.
Literally
And if
one letter.
yeah, that'd be interesting. It'd be interesting if that's the case. I doubt it, but it's I chalk it up to being like it's a little bit more of an Easter egg. So either way, but yeah, so Loki, meets Don, and Don's basically this whole time trying to like sell him
Sell
a jet
him.
ski because he thinks he's wanting to buy a jet ski from him and shit. Loki's just like, that's not why I'm here. Like, this is what I need you for. He's basically telling him, and he more or less kind of talks him into it. And it's at that point where OB freaking shows up behind Loki, like he opens a time door because with the TVA handbook he was able to make one of the temp pads and like open the time doors and shit.
Hmm.
It's a little janky and stuff because he's still figuring out like the technology and all this other shit, but he's got he's basically got it up and running and shit, right? So then like Loki has Don join him. He basically talks him into like, hey, come with me, and like this is what we're gonna do, type of shit. They go around and collect all the people. They finally get like Sylvie to come and join, and then like so they're working on trying to get back to the TVA. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, they're trying to get back to the TVA to recreate that one part, but you skipped the part. Sylvie's the only one who knows that Sylvie's the only one who knows what happened.
Well, that's because she was a variant before she went onto the timeline.
Exactly. So she was like, he was like, so you know exactly what happened? She was like, yeah, I know what happened, and it just put me back here. But yeah, so what they're trying to do is they're trying to get back to the TVA so they can recreate that moment. Well, for him to recreate that moment of what happened, so they can try to fix the timeline again, or they can fix the TVA basically. So
Yeah.
that's when he figured that out. That's when like everything like just like yeah, shut it down. Like this timeline's getting wiped, and then that's when you seen everybody going to the string cheese, and then bam, cliffhanger.
Excuse me. Yeah, that was the cliffhanger, but at the same time, like it was like right at the end of the show. That's what, like right towards the end of the show, rather. That's when Loki sort of starts to figure out how to do the time slipping, right? How to control the time shit.
Yep.
And then so now we kind of get to episode 6, right?
The finale.
He's figured out how to control the time slipping. So he goes back to the end of technically episode 4, right? So where they're about to go and they're about to send Victor Timely out to try to fix the time loom and shit, right?
Yep.
And basically from there it's like Loki's like figuring out, okay, what's going wrong? What is it that we got to do to make sure that this is going to work? How do we make it work? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So he's literally like, every single time like it goes wrong, he just goes right back in time. He's basically like taking notes, like he's not literally taking notes, but he's like, he knows everything that's going to happen. He knows all the mistakes. He knows all the like, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Keep going. I'm reading it. It's never worked it.
Okay. Because they're not even technically watching. Anyways, so he's like he's taking notes of all the mistakes. He knows what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and then so like he's like talking to OB, like he's just like, what is it going to take for us to like get this done? What would it take for somebody to know everything that you know, and in order to get this to work? And then they're all just like, you would have to become a physicist. You would have to learn physics, And he's just like, well, how long would it take to become like a master physicist? And then OB's like, decades. And then Casey was like, centuries. You'd have to take centuries to do it. So cut to black, and it's like centuries later. So
that man
Loki has literally been at this for more than 1 century, more than 100 years, trying to figure out A, what's going wrong, B, like learn everything that OB learns or OB knows, and then more, because he's trying to become like a master physicist. He's trying to know what it takes to fix this thing and what it's going to take to get this to work. And it's so funny because like then he's just like walking everybody through everything from step
Yo,
one.
and
He's
he
just
was
like,
just
come, this is what we're
yeah.
gonna do.
All right, yeah, no, do this, do that, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna be completely fine. Like, just follow the steps that I'm telling you. And then I was like, nah, this man really went centuries back just to learn physics engineering. And bro, that was like that part is so like it was so funny. I was dying laughing when I saw that. And then when they finally figured out how to do it, and he sent Victor Timely into the into the
Time loom.
yeah, the time loom. No, it wasn't the time loom. The time loom was the part that he at the end. So he finally got there, hit the green button. He said, "All right, look, that's fine. The green it gets stuck sometimes. You just got to hit it one more time." So he smashes it again, comes back, and they see that it didn't work. So he's like, "Damn, like what did I do wrong? Like I'm trying to figure out like why is it not working? Because all the timelines now is just dying, except for
The
the
sacred
protected
timeline.
time. Yeah, the sacred timeline. I'm about to say the protected timeline. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to where Sylvie fought or Sylvie killed He Who Remains. And bro, that part was so dope. So dope. I love that part. That part to me was so fire. When they were talking about it, like he was like kept trying to stop her, and then like he must have did it well over 1,000 times. So then
Had to.
yeah, so my man King was like, pause there, click. So you've been at this for a minute, huh? It's like, nah, no, he did not just figure this
Right.
out like this.
He probably knew it. He probably knew it as soon as he saw Loki time slip in the first time, and he's just like, I'm gonna let him roll with this and see how
Yeah,
long it takes to figure out.
just yo, that joint had me in tears. Just sat back with it too, and I'm like,
Right.
he's like, yeah. So you didn't. He said, yeah. So I basically had to plan for this the whole time. Like I literally control everything that's going on. Even if I'm dead, I'm still controlling what's going on. He said I have many variants. And I was like, yo, this man is a genius, a legit
Right.
genius. He said, no matter what
So
you do, I'm still in control of the timeline.
so like this is the thing that like that got me right. It was like so at first, so it's like it gets to this point where like Loki pushes Sylvie back far enough, and he turns around and he's just like, "Stop this! You can stop this! Why are you letting this happen?" And then then that's when Kang is just like, "All right, pause," and he paused Sylvie and shit, and he's just like, "Let's talk." And then like they like talk for a second. Loki's like not going for it, and then he lets Sylvie kill him again. And then he tells him, and he's just like, we can stop this whenever you want. You know, come back and like we'll sit and talk when you actually want to talk. And then so like it plays out again at least one or two more times, and then Loki turns around and is talking to He Who Remains. He Who Remains stops Sylvie, starts her back up, and then so like He Who Remains was just like, he's like, come on, you haven't figured this out yet. You haven't figured out how to even pause or anything yet. And then
Yeah.
Loki just goes like this. He's like, how do you know I didn't? And because he stopped, and at that point he stopped time and shit. And then He Who Remains just like, oh shit. Like,
Yeah,
well,
oh, this man figured it out. And then
let's talk. He's like, let's talk. And so they sit down, they figure out like he's talking to Loki, Loki's talking to him. They're Loki's trying to get to the crux of like, what do I have to do in order to save the TVA and save all the timelines? And then like King just comes out with it, and he's just like, it's a failsafe. He said, it doesn't matter how long or how much you try to, expand the time loom, everything's expanding infinitely, and you can't continue to expand anything infinitely. He's like, so it's a failsafe. Every time that you try to do this, the loom explodes, and then the only thing that comes back is going to be the sacred timeline. And then at the end of time, where I am, I will always be here. So I will.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, so that's why he kept saying, "See you soon, see you soon." He knew, you know, what no matter what happens, the multiversal wars happen. The Kangs all fight, and then he is the one who ends up. He is the one he who remains. He's the one who remains at the end, right?
Yep.
So Loki's
He's-
finally like, all right. He's like, because basically Loki's trying to figure out a way that he can save all the timelines, or he can save the timeline in general, and save Sylvie, like not have to kill Sylvie, because he knows that whenever Sylvie, kills He Who Remains, that's when all this pops off.
Yep.
And so Sylvie's, I keep saying Sophie. Sylvie's not going to stop until she literally said, "I'm not going to stop unless you kill me." So Loki doesn't want to have to kill her because he loves her, loves himself, and He Who Remains knows that no matter what happens, like I'm going to end up in control here. So Loki figures it out. He's like, okay, this is what I have to do. So he goes back to like the end of episode 4. He's where they're trying to expand the time loom so that it can handle all the different threads and timelines, right? So rather than sending Victor Timely in to do it, he goes in himself, locks himself in there so that nobody can get in. He walks out into the time field or whatever that thing is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's literally just like weathering the freaking storm and shit, right? He's like, all this freaking time radiation is just bombarding him and bombarding him and bombarding him. And he's walking through it. He's surviving, obviously. He's not taking any damage, but what we start to see is his TVA like suit is getting ripped apart and is getting torn off of him. And then he's slowly turning into like his classic, not even from like Thor, like a very classic and like not even regal. It's just like it almost looks like from Norse mythology. He's wearing like a green robes, a green cape, and he's walking through, and then he finally like destroys the time loom. And then so all these like strands of the timelines are freaking like falling all about.
Yeah, like dying off.
They're dying off.
Yep.
And he starts grabbing them. He's grabbing them all, and like imbuing them with his like energy, with his magic and shit. And then from there, you start to see his horn, like his normal horn helmet, starts to form, and like his horns come up and shit. And what's cool as hell about this is like the horned helmet looks like the time stone that He Who Remains had, that he was using to control the time and shit. Yeah. So Loki has like a whole horned helmet like made out of this, right? And he's grabbing all the timelines and shit. He's grabbing every timeline that he can. He's grabbing them all. And then so he starts to walk, and then he like is like creating basically steps. He's walking, creating steps and shit to like a throne. And I'm assuming this was He Who Remains throne.
Mm-hmm. It was.
You start seeing and it's like made out of the same material, and you see all the like the cracks with the gold in it and shit. And then all the gold starts like sliding up to the throne. So Loki walks up, he gets to the throne, he turns around and sits down on the throne with all the strands from the timeline, and then like holds them together, and then like imbues them all with his like essence and shit. When he does that, that's when we get this right here. This was the most beautiful freaking thing I have ever seen done in Marvel at like period. Mm-hmm. He basically what it does is when he does that, he turns the timelines basically into the Tree of Yggdrasil, right? And then you see that becomes the new time, like multiverse. The new multiverse is now like basically like Yggdrasil, where you have the branches that branch off from the base, from the root, or from the trunk in front, like the the roots spread out, the trunks themselves spread out and stuff like that, and like even like the like leaves or whatever, like are formed by like different cosmos and different like almost looks like galaxies and shit, but like it is like the most freaking beautiful thing, and like there Loki sits, protecting the timeline, and then you fast forward, it just said later, I think,
Yeah.
on the screen. We're back at the TVA. We start seeing that like B-15 she's not running things, but she's calling a meeting and stuff. So like now there's a committee running the TVA, like a full council running the TVA. You pass some posters, and it's like it says "Help us grow," and it's like the timeline shaped like different timelines shaped like a tree. Like B-15 checks in with Mobius, and then from there we find out that I'm assuming, and so Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania takes time, takes place during all of this, assumingly. So they say like B-15's talking to Mobius, and it's just like, oh, I heard we had a rogue king, on, or whatever, and then he's just like, yeah, there was a Kang that was in an Avenger battled Kang or one of his variants in a 616 adjacent realm, but they took care of it. So that means that's what we saw in Quantumania, was that, in the main, assumingly the main timeline, he fought Kang and like destroyed him and shit. So that means that's kind of telling us that like his variants are still out there, but they're on patrol now for Kang's or for his variants, not to destroy different timelines and shit. Mobius and B-15 have a chat. They meet at like the like big huge murals or whatever of the Time Lords and shit. And he's, B-15's like, man, maybe we should take these down. Maybe we should change these. And he's just like, maybe not. Basically like that old adage of like, those who forget their past are doomed to repeat it type of thing.
Yep.
And basically like, she's telling him how, or he's basically like, maybe I should leave. Maybe this isn't for me anymore. And, she's basically like, we would hate to see you go, but, you got to do what you got to do. We're not keeping you here. You're not a prisoner. And then, we see her go into the meeting or whatever and see that it is like a council of people who are going to be running the TVA. And then we end with Mobius going back to his timeline, or at least his place in the timeline, I guess. I don't know where he's going to go from there because we still see his past self there. So I don't know if maybe he decides that he's going to go, further in, or maybe it's right to the point where he disappeared or whatever the case may be. Or maybe he just decides he's going to be a doppelganger somewhere on the timeline. So who knows? But it was overall, this whole season was really dope. This last episode is hands down like one of the best anything that the MCU has dropped ever.
Man, I won't say ever, but man, Spider-Man still takes the cake. But man, like TV show wise, yes, most definitely, hands down. Like,
definitely, 100% hands down. Like any of the Marvel shows, Loki is still number one. And
facts. Yes, I definitely have to agree with that because that was so beautifully written for the TV show. Yeah, bro. I gotta give them the roses, bro, because they did such a great job with that. And it wasn't like one episode was like, eh. So even I was talking to like some of my coworkers today, even it was like, yo, Loki season 1, fire. But I was like, if you like season 1, you'll definitely love season 2. They was like, yeah, no, we watched. All we're missing is this last episode. And I was like, because when he was like, the first episode, he's like, it was all right. Well, I said, no, you're tripping. The first episode was fire. And I said each episode after they kept getting better and better and better. And I said, yo, I said episode 6, I guarantee you're gonna love episode 6. Episode 6 it was it was beautiful. Like the way they ended it, the way they started it, the way they put it together. Love this season 2 of Loki. So I was like, I can't. It makes me very excited for like the next movie they're gonna put out there, because obviously we all know like what's leading to from Loki, because of this, which is Secret Wars. So
Right.
I'm pumped. I am absolutely pumped. And then not
Yo,
only that, I've
same.
heard some great I heard some things about Secret Wars too. So I don't know if we were gonna jump into that as well. I don't know if that's something you had on your list.
Kind of, but we'll 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 get around to it when we get around to it. If we happen to hit on it, then we'll hit on it. But yeah, dude, like I can't agree more. Like this show was 100% like, again, the whole season was straight fire, but like this last episode was so beautiful, so absolutely beautiful that like so Loki's whole thing was he was so afraid of being alone, and he felt like he finally found somebody that he can spend an eternity with, which was oddly enough himself. But like it ended up being Sylvie. It's a separate person. That's why he doesn't want to kill her. That's why like he's having this whole conundrum is that like I don't want to kill her. Basically, he wants to have his cake and eat it too. He
Mm-hmm.
wants all the timelines to live because that's also what Sophie wants. And he wants to do what he's basically trying to ingratiate her, but he also knows that like Kane can't die because everything goes to shit without him here. Um, Sylvie doesn't want to let this monster, doesn't want to let this monster live because she knows that this isn't free will. And she's all about like this is the reason why I've lived in all these disasters and shit. So one thing I did end up skipping actually while we're talking about this is that at one point Loki goes and talks to Mobius, and it's technically like in the first episode of Loki.
Yep.
Time slip back, he talks to Mobius when Mobius was first like interviewing Loki, and he's just like talking to him straight up and down. He's like, do you think that this is but more or less basically like trying to get like, is this the right thing to do? And he's just like, don't, weren't you ever curious that, who you were, would you ever go back and this and that? And he's just like, ultimately, he's like, this is a better sacrifice. He's like, whoever I was before, he's like, this is where I belong. This was, if I have to sacrifice it in order for the greater good, then I will, continue to do so. So basically, that kind of gives Loki the like, okay, so what I'm thinking of is probably the right thing to do, and that's when
Mm-hmm.
basically Loki sacrifices his life with Sylvie. He sacrifices his life on the timeline. He sacrifices everything to save the
Oh,
multiverse, and his punishment, but also the way that he wins. So this is a whole cyclical thing, right? So it's just like they're saying that he's destined to lose. He's a loser, right? So he does lose, but by losing he wins. Like by
yeah.
losing everything that he wants, he wins because he sacrifices all that to spend an eternity alone. Spending an eternity with himself, which is what he wanted to do with Sylvie, but now he's not going to be with Sylvie. Again, he lost all that, but he does win because now he who remains isn't going to be the one who's, presides over the end of time. It's Loki. And he's allowing everybody to be, have free will at this point, allowing all those timelines to live.
Mm-hmm. But yo, that story that Mobius told was so dope though, and how he like how Loki figured it out was so fired. When he was like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I had a partner who was such and such, and I think no, I don't think he said he had a partner. But he ended up saying it after. I know he said it after, and he was like, "So I'm guessing you." He said, he even said, "So I'm guessing." He was like, "Yeah." So Ramona's the. I'm guessing Renslayer was the one who purged the kid, and you were the one who was afraid that he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Damn, that's crazy." So she had to do what was necessary, and that's like, and then it like literally everything all tied back in together. So like that purge that she did, it was the reason why she ended up in that situation with He Who Remains. When Miss Minutes showed Renslayer that flashback for her
Mm-hmm.
of why she got into that where she was at. That's the reason why she was there. So that's that
Right.
story. So I was like, yo, that's a fire throwback. So now it explained why Renslayer was where she was at with He Who Remains. And like the whole series tied in together. So I was like, yeah, fire. Great job. Great job with this one.
So there's a video I watched recently. I can't remember it. I'd have to go back and find it, and if I end up finding it, maybe I'll link it in the description below later. But basically, they were saying how the Ouroboros was a huge symbol for this entire season, but also this entire show thus far. The
Yep.
Ouroboros being the snake that eats its own tail, so it's always a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And everything like once you get to the end of this, you start seeing like how everything is always in a circle and shit. And so basically, towards the end, that's why Loki breaks the cycle, and he becomes what would you call him, bro? So like a lot of people have been saying Loki's now the god of stories because that's who he is in the comics. But I feel like this goes beyond that because he's not actually creating new stories and new realities. He's just the one kind of holding everything together. So, do you think he's the god of the multiverse? The god of time?
So I said the God of Time, but you said the God of Multiverse. So I was like, damn, that makes more sense that he's the God of the multiverse. So I said times because he's holding everything together. He's holding all of the time, like he's holding time together to make sure
Mm-hmm.
the multiverses last. But what you said makes more sense too. He's the God of multiverses, so he's holding all the multiverses together, so nothing like it can still, like you said, free will. Everything will still play out. So I was like,
Right.
that's a tough one. So I want to agree with you. I think he's the God of the multiverse.
So there was something else that I just thought of recently, but I can't now. The thought left my mind, but like I think it goes beyond the god of stories, and I feel like if you were to give him a god title, I would say he's probably the god of the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there, Comics Explained. So the YouTube channel Comics Explained. Uh, he was Robert Jefferson. He was talking about um, how Loki is not the god of stories, and but rather he's the if there's a term for it in Marvel Comics, he's the steward of the multiverse or the anchor of
Mm-hmm.
the multiverse. Basically, he's the one that holds the multiverse together, which that makes sense too. But I feel like because Loki is a god, like I feel like him being the god of the multiverse makes much more sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because he always wanted to be. He always
He always
he
wanted
always
to
wanted
be
to
in
be
control
a
of the
bigger
multiverse.
god, like or better, like a bigger god than what he was. Like everybody knows Loki is the god of mischief. He's a villain. Like you said, he's a loser because he's always losing to his brother or half brother. So, huh?
It's an adoptive brother. Not even
Adopted
his
brother.
half brother.
Yes, you're right. So he's always losing to Thor. So he was like, all right, now he's the god that he wants to be. He's a bigger guy than where he is. It's just unfortunately, really nobody's gonna see that. But I find it so dope though. Like
It
that's great.
is. It like, and this is the thing. Then, so then I feel like this makes him. That's the other thing. It's just like this makes him the most powerful being in Marvel, other than Eternity that we've seen thus far. Like
Hmm.
Eternity, Like we've seen Eternity already, but we haven't been able to. We didn't really see everything that Eternity can do, other than like resurrecting people. You know, but that's because somebody made a wish for it. But like, other than Eternity, I feel like Loki is probably the most powerful being in Marvel now.
Right now, he
Like,
definitely is.
you know, he's literally. I mean, he's more powerful now, obviously, than Kang, or at least
Yep.
He Who Remains.
But he
Uh,
can't. But he can't move from that spot though.
you can't. That's the only thing. It's just like, you know, you're the most powerful being, but there's nothing that you can do with that power
No.
because you're literally you're there to protect the multiverse, basically.
Yep. Yep.
Oh man, that's just making me wonder, like, just where exactly, like, Kang. What is it? The Kang Dynasty. Where Kang Dynasty is going to go? Which one comes first? Kang Dynasty, right? Then Secret Wars.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
it
pretty.
has to be King Dynasty then Secret Wars, because Secret Wars is a different. I think Secret Wars is gonna have a different big bad. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's gonna be King. So yeah, it's King Dynasty then Secret Wars. What time? What we're looking at?
Okay,
What Marvel
that's what
season? Wait, what timeline are we in at?
phase.
Not
That would be like
timeline.
phase six, I think. I think it's like phase six. Excuse me,
Let's see.
but but if it is Kang Dynasty, that's making
Yeah,
me like
it is.
wonder, like, where's Kang Dynasty gonna go then? So like that would imply then that somebody, I would imagine that Kang or one of the Kang variants is going to probably try to attack Loki, possibly win.
That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, it's Avengers, the King Dynasty, and then Avengers Secret War a year after
Okay.
from each other.
Well, so just to kind of, we'll kind of from here, we'll kind of slide into uh, the news a little bit. This isn't really news per se, as much as it's stuff that I kind of want to talk about in the MCU in general, right? So, uh, there's been a lot of chatter recently about Marvel possibly. Marvel's been doing a lot of shaking up in general recently, just due to the overall kind of underwhelming sort of response that they've been getting from fans. You know, with their with their direction since like the end of Endgame, basically since the end of Phase 3 for sure. Um, and so they're finally trying to like course correct and like, you know, use new tactics to try to get people in. One thing is that they're talking about potentially dropping Jonathan Majors as Kang and pushing up Doom as like the big bad of this these next Marvel phases and stuff. Which, like, a, they should have did that to begin with. I feel like, especially when it comes to Secret Wars, Doom is the one who is like the big bad of Secret Wars, right? But regardless of all that, this is also like a response to Jonathan Majors' like legal troubles currently, which like there's still not a whole lot going on with that. I mean, there's been a lot of continuances. There's been some evidence in his favor, but at the same time, like now, from what I understand, like he's wanting to put, you know, his ex on trial or something along those lines. I don't know all the ins and outs or all the details of this currently, just because like it's been sort of an ever evolving sort of story. But basically, Marvel Studios is trying to drop him, or is talking about, or has been talking about dropping him as Kang potentially, and then moving from Kang into Doctor Doom. I feel like I know your thoughts on this, but what are your thoughts?
I honestly, I think it's a bad idea. Jonathan Majors is such. I mean, yeah, he has his legal troubles, but you also got to think about it like this. Like, didn't we see this happen before? This is like a. I feel like this is like deja
Yeah,
vu all over again. If you know what I'm talking about.
I mean, this is like a Johnny Depp situation
Exactly. So like, you're gonna drop the
where,
man, and then if he wins, I feel like this is what Johnny Depp should have did too. Like, he should have sued I think he should have sued the hell out of all the people who dropped him.
Out of
Um,
Warner Brothers, because
Warner
Warner Brothers,
Brothers,
well,
yeah,
Warner
Warner
Brothers
Brothers
and
dropped him.
Disney and
I'm
Disney.
I want to, bro. I don't like. It was a good movie. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic Beasts. I like Fantastic Beasts. I thought there was great ones. Especially when he was Grindelwald. That last
Hmm.
one, I wasn't really feeling too much. Because they took out Johnny Depp, and then I feel like they ended up switching the whole like the storyline to it as well. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I didn't like it. I didn't like the story. I thought the story was trash. There were bits and pieces I did like about it. That kind of saved it to me, but I felt like they should have kept it. So if I felt like they should have kept it because I think they did some scenes with him in that movie, but then they were having to switch it. They should have did the
Hmm.
exact same thing they did with Amber Heard. Should have kept him in the movie and just kept it going. Literally, just kept it going. Because I think I don't know if they said they finished the movie or they just redid the whole thing. I don't remember, but they should have kept it.
Uh, at that point, I think when the legal trouble started, I don't think uh, I don't think the principal photography had started for that movie, and if it
Okay,
did, it was very very early on into it, and I think it was probably like before Johnny even had any scenes in it. You know what I'm saying? So like,
that would make sense.
but
But
like,
I know. Okay,
but like, I was gonna say, regardless of that, like basically, and then on top of that, like Disney dropped him entirely.
they
Like
took off
Disney,
all the Pirates
yeah,
of the Caribbean movies.
he's like, yeah, we're not doing Pirates of the Caribbean anymore. At least not with Johnny Depp. You know, they're talking about rebooting it, and they're going to reboot it without him and all this other crap. So like, all of that because of like his legal troubles and shit, right?
Yeah, and then he wins, and then they
Like,
dropped all his movies back on streaming.
right,
Edward
which is
Scissorhands.
it's a bunch of bullshit, dude. It's all
Yeah, and
bullshit. It's like,
it pissed me off. Like, but if they do the exact same with Jonathan Majors, I'm gonna be mad because Jonathan Majors is he's a really good actor. Like,
he
really
is.
good. I haven't
He's
seen.
insanely good.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I think I seen one movie that he was in, and I stumbled upon it by accident. But the stuff that he did in Marvel, man, he literally sold me, and I'm like, damn, he's really good. Like, my damn, like I want him to stay as king.
The first thing I saw him in, I think, and it might have even been like his sort of debut as a movie debut, was
Mhm.
is it The Five Bloods on
Yes,
Netflix?
yes, that's why I saw him
He
in.
was, he was so good in that. But then not only that, but then like Lovecraft Country, bro.
I didn't see
If
that
you've
one.
never seen Lovecraft Country, if you like horror or if you like Lovecraftian horror especially, you
Hmm.
would love the shit out of that show. And he was amazing in it. He was great. I mean, the whole cast was great, but he was amazing, right?
Yeah,
Like anything that I've seen him in thus far, I have yet to see an actual like thing I don't like him. Creed
I
3 wasn't the greatest, but he was definitely good in it. He was decent in it. You know what I'm saying? That might be like the lowest bar that I've seen him in thus far.
that was the
And
reason
it's
why I
even
wanted to
still like
watch it.
it's still a good fucking movie. But
He's literally the reason why I wanted to watch Creed 3. I didn't really care for. Oh, and he was also in The Harder They Fall, and he did a
I
great
don't
job in The
not
Harder They Fall.
I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar.
It's
With,
on
oh,
it's on
that's the
Netflix.
Western movie, right? I haven't
Yes,
seen it, but yeah, that's the Western, right? Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
definitely watch it.
I'll definitely have to. I just like was at the forefront of my brain and then just falls to the back of the brain, so I just haven't even thought about it. But like most of the stuff that I've seen him in, he's great. And so like if Marvel is already basically like I get it from a brand standpoint, they're like, hey, this guy might not be good for our brand with all the legal troubles he's having. But at the same time, if you do this prematurely, then you run into the issue of like, hey, he's innocent, and like we jumped the gun on this, and now we either have to try to get him back, or uh, you know, we fumble the ball and like try to freaking scramble for the ball at basically with 2 minutes left to fucking play, or like 2 seconds left to fucking play, and see if we can score a touchdown with some other freaking story that we might have freaking you know
That we have to
we might
draw up,
have
basically,
or whatever. But like it's just like, yo,
bro.
it's
If
just
you
like,
can,
yo, he's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Let the man come out as innocent, or let the man come out as guilty. If he comes out as guilty, then hey, sorry, we can't, have any dealings with you anymore. We got to drop you from our movies. Or he comes out innocent and like, all right, we're continuing on as planned. We're just a little behind schedule, so we're going to start picking it up a little bit with you. But like, it's business as usual then. Like, don't freaking just like, don't just, don't put the cows before the cart or something like that, or don't put the cart before the horses. It's like, don't put the cart before the horses. Don't jump the gun on this shit.
Another one that bothered me too, because they really put the fun into it. The movie was already done. It's the same thing like Ezra Miller. Like, bro, if you can keep this bum ass, excuse my language, if you keep this bum on movies, and to me, I think I don't think he's a good actor anyway. That's my personal opinion.
I don't think he's that great of an actor in general. So
yeah, so if you can keep him in you still put his movie out, bro. Why can't Jonathan Majors do the exact same thing?
Right.
And that man has been in legal trouble way before he even did The Flash. He was in legal trouble way before he did The Flash.
You talking about
and
Ezra
before
Miller?
that, yes, Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
So if you can keep that bum in movies, bro, why we just can't do the same to Jonathan Majors? Let him stay.
Well, and Amber Heard's still in freaking in Aquaman 2.
She's still in Aquaman 2, and they try to cut. They say, "Oh, we cut some of her scenes, so she shouldn't be in the movie."
Yeah,
period.
okay, but she's still in it. She's still in it, bro. Recast her.
And it was so bad that what's my man's name? Oh my god, I can't think of his name right now. Why I can't think of damn Aquaman's name?
Jason Momoa.
Thank you. Jason Momoa is like, yo, I don't want to work with her. And he literally started a petition. If your own main character starts a petition to get somebody off the movie, that's really bad. That's really, really bad. Like, I would expect that from fans, because we all have done it. I didn't do it, but for instance, Christian Bale Batman, they petitioned him. Ben Affleck Batman. Yeah, they petitioned him.
They petitioned to get the Snyder Cut released, which eventually freaking happened. So like,
exactly, because that movie's trash too. It's just Snyder just made it a little better, but it was still trash. It's just Ezra Miller, bro. He just pisses me off. But yeah, like, just keep him. That's my opinion. Keep him. Just keep him. All right. Well, like you said, ride it out. Wait to see what happens. Because now, if you jump the gun and he doesn't get in trouble, for me, I feel like you're liable to get sued. And I think Disney should get sued, or Marvel should get sued if they throw him out.
Well, yeah, and because I mean, that's his livelihood. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, that's his livelihood.
Makes money
this
off
was,
doing
this
this.
was, he was going to be like the biggest thing in freaking Marvel. You know what I'm saying? And then like, you start up this what do you call it? You start up this story with him in it, and then to drop him halfway through. Now,
you started the story with him, and it was such a great story because it really brought out who Kang was for people, for the Marvel MCU fans who don't know who Kang is. You and I, comic book fans, so we knew who Kang was.
Right.
You get bits and pieces of Kang in cartoons, but man, he really, really brought out Kang. I'm like, yo, perfect casting for Kang. I didn't even know who he was until I saw him in the movie, and then I saw him in different movies after I saw him playing Kang. It's like, yeah, perfect casting for Kang. They did justice.
He's dope. He is a great actor in general, and then like making him be the big bad of the MCU, like in these phases or whatever, or this next saga or whatever they want to call it. Like, all right, stick with that, and like, hey, if he does, like, just playing devil's advocate for a second, if he does end up being in legal trouble and he ends up being guilty, or if you just don't want to freaking like have your name attached to him at all, okay, let him go. But don't switch the story up midway through and make it Doctor Doom. He's the saying. Like they're not, you know, like they're not like equal to me. You know what I'm saying? Like one
Oh,
is not
hands
an
down, definitely
analog to
not.
the other. Like you can't say like, oh yeah, now instead of Kang, it's Doctor Doom, and it's going to be the same freaking stories, and we're just going to plug Doom in here. Like no, stick with Kang, recast, have it be Kang, have it be somebody comparable to Jonathan Majors. Hopefully, he can freaking hold the candle to him, and then like make him the big bad, and then like actually give Doctor Doom his real due. Like, don't do this shit where you're just like, oh yes,
Hmm.
we're just gonna plug him in for King. Like, no, those two do not plug in for one another.
Like,
Those
like,
two are not the same person.
yeah, like God rest his soul. Like, if you can cancel, I mean, it's two different situations. I'm not trying to say it's the same situation, but if you can cancel the casting of Black Panther, you can do the exact same
Right.
thing. You can literally just switch a king out. Like, it's not that hard. Like, just find somebody else who can do it just as great of a job.
Mm-hmm.
Ye-
Yeah,
Like,
just
that's all
like I
you got to
said,
do.
don't.
Like, because what you're gonna do is end up try to cut King out of the whole thing. You're not gonna be able to do that because King plays a big part in Loki season one. King big part in Quantumania. King plays a big part in of the whole multiverse. You
Mhm.
can't kill him off. But don't get me wrong, I love Doom. I absolutely love Victor Von Doom. Victor Von Doom is he's the to me he is the funniest. And I was like I said I was talk about this at work too, and I'm gonna say like I said, but I'll talk about this at work as well. Um, Victor Von Doom is to me is the best villain. Wait, to me he's the face of the villains in Marvel.
Oh yeah.
He's a tie
Mhm.
to everybody across the Marvel universe. Literally a tie to every single character in the Marvel universe, and he's such a funny. He's hilarious. No, he's not funny. He's an hilarious villain. Like the way he just. All right, well, I don't know why you're bothering me. I'm the king of Latvia. One of these, like, just get out of here. Like, don't bother me.
Right.
And then becomes
He's
God Doom.
like he's so dope, man. Like he is my favorite, probably my favorite Marvel villain ever.
Oh, he's my favorite
Like
villain, hands down.
he I don't know if he's my favorite villain ever, but he's definitely my favorite Marvel villain ever. Like, and you have to do him justice in the movies. You know what I'm saying? You absolutely have to do him justice
I
because
agree.
freaking comic book King will hop off the page and freaking like smack you down for fucking doing him injustice. So like don't do him like that. So,
Yeah,
but
please.
le- moving on from this because we don't have very much time with you left. I don't think, right?
Yeah,
You got a hard
no,
out
we don't.
at 6.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man,
Um,
can we please just go right to Invincible, please? Because I really want to talk about that first episode. Because that first episode is freaking comical. Like
it
just the
is.
beginning
It
of
really
the
is.
beginning of the whole thing is hilarious.
So before we touch on any of the like spoiler shit, I just want to say I love how they had the gag in the whole freaking show. So if you haven't seen season 1 of Invincible, you know that like for the title card when they show the Invincible logo, it always goes into like somebody has like a sentence that they're saying, and it's like, come on, it's not like the word's supposed to be invincible, and it pops up with the title card, invincible. Through the
Yeah.
whole first episode, they kept teasing us with the freaking with the title drop, right?
Yep.
And then they kept saying it was like, oh, he really is dot 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 invincible, and it's them saying it instead of the title card coming up, right? That
Yeah.
shit was so funny. I was dying the whole time. I was just like, these motherfuckers are making us fucking work for it. They're making
Nah,
us
yo.
work for it, dude.
Um, Omni Man, the best character. Like so my cousin I was talking about. Like, he asked me, he's like, "Yo, tell me you watched it," and I said, "Nah, man, I didn't get a chance to." I finally watched it, and we were talking about it. Yo, that episode is the funniest thing for the beginning of the episode. Yo, when he even beat the brakes off of him. He demolished him not once, because remember he demolished him in the first what's my man's name?
The
Um
Immortal?
the Immortal, yo, he not demolished him once. Like season one, he really put the spanks on him. But in the second one, nah, he did him dirty. He did him even dirtier than he did him in the first season. I was like,
That
yo,
shit was
he ripped
wild,
this
dude.
man's
That
head off. I was like, oh shit.
he cut off his arm, and then he broke the other one, and then just went like this, chopped his dome off, and it went over to Mark, and Mark is just like,
And squeezed the head, and I was like, yo, that's crazy. And then when they found all the rebels, and
yeah.
he said, I forgot what he said exactly. And this is the part my cousin and I love, because that joint was too freaking funny. He was like, a volunteer.
Oh right, yeah, because they were just like, okay, guys, like you're all gonna die. Like, who wants it first?
Yeah, dude said something. A volunteer. It's like, yo, no, he did not just say that.
Excuse me. Yeah, dude. That whole
Oh,
first part of the show was hilarious.
yo,
So spoilers, I mean, we've already been spoiling this thus far, but just so you know, this is actually taking place. We find out that this is taking place in an alternate dimension, an
hmm
alternate reality from the main reality of Invincible that we had known from season one. So in this reality, Invincible and Omni-Man have taken over planet Earth, and you know, there's like resistances and stuff trying to rise up against them.
because they're
Only
trying to
to
turn the
then get
world.
dashed because they just to get dashed by Omni Man and Invincible, so they go and just like fucking lay waste to everybody and shit.
Bro, and they were working it. But yo, same thing I was telling my cousin, because I meant to tell you this too. Yo, he really deserves the name Grayson. Like every Grayson you can think of did dirty. Richard Grayson. He's always getting the paws put on him. In any movie you see him in, he's getting the paws put on him. He's out. He's literally out
You
for
right.
whatever.
You right.
So I'm under the red hood. One bad step and he's done for. Son of Batman. He got the paws put on him by Damien. Like he had all the scratch marks. Bad Blood. Batman violates him.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Teen Titans versus the Justice League.
Oh wait, no, we skipped one.
Judas
Hold on.
contract.
Was
Teen
it- no,
Titans
it
Judas
wasn't.
contract.
He wasn't really into his contract much. It was
Yeah.
it was
He got-
no,
he
it
got-
was Batman versus Robin. And
Okay.
the not the Court of Owls, the Talons violated Nightwing. I mean, they absolutely violated him. Then it was Teen. No, he wasn't in Teen Titans versus Justice League. He was in it for a brief stint. It was not the Dark Curse. No, it was the Dark Curse. No, it wasn't Dark Curse. What was it? I'm thinking Dark Curse because
Justice
of
League.
just no DC.
DC Universe.
Um,
You're talking about Dark Justice League Dark Apocalypse War.
absolute violations. Like they
Yeah.
murdered my man, and then Damien tried to resurrect him, and now he's in there looking like Jason
Came
Todd.
back crazy. He came
Yeah,
back crazy.
so-
Shit.
I was like,
Oh, then in the Injustice universe, he got freaking killed. So like there's
by
that.
Damien. But,
By
yeah,
Damien.
but with a what was it? A scrimmage stick. He got hit in the back of the head with a
A
scrim-
straight a scrum stick. Freaking bounced back, hit him in the back of the dome. He was dead. I was just like, bro, come on.
and then you go
But yeah,
back to
so-
his parents. So I was like, yo, Mark Grayson is literally deserves the name Grayson because he gets fired. Like every episode that he was in is getting his butt whipped. He gets
For real.
whipped every episode, and I was like, damn, does he ever learn? Like, I didn't ever read the comics on this, so like, does he get better? Like, please tell me he gets better. Because
Well, that's
I'm
the
tired of
whole
watching this
thing
man
with-
get beat up.
So that's the whole thing with Viltrumites, right? Is they the longer they live and the more they live through, the stronger they get. So
Okay.
the longer they live, the stronger they get, but also too like basically in order to like enhance their skills, they have to be in battle. They have to do battle. And that like And it's just the same with anybody. You know, the more you live through it, the more that you freaking like, the better you are at surviving. So that's basically like the same with them, but to like a higher degree, because you know whatever they live through, they get stronger from,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So, but yeah, so like, and in episode 2, you can kind of see that too at some point, because there is something that happens where somebody's trying to put the pause on him and shit, and he he's just like nah. So
All right, I'm definitely gonna watch episode 2. But yeah, no. So episode 1, like after watching like the beginning, but it's still the episode actually is still pretty good. So then that same guy they were talking about who volunteers who almost got murdered ends up going back to get the twins, who was really a clone, um to build a bigger machine to so he can have all his multiversal selves sitting on the machine so he can grab the whole, like he wants to know like how he can stop Omni-Man and Invincible from doing what they did in the different multiverses, because he said literally this happens in almost every multiverse that he's been in or he saw, where they try to take over the world, except for the one that he's currently in because of the twins. So they get word. Well, what's my old man's name? I can't think. I don't know why I can't think of characters' names right now. It's gonna bother me. Maybe it's because I know it's because I'm in a rush. But well, if Invincible finally decides to work with him at the same time, I don't know why I can't think of this dude's
Cecil.
name. Huh? Cecil?
Cecil.
Yeah, Cecil. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't think of Cecil's name. So he said, you know what? I'll work with you. I know I'm not my dad. I'm not gonna allow this to happen again. I'm my own person. Let me be me. So he's like, all right, well, you got to work with me. So he's like, yeah, I'll do it. So then he gave him a call. Hey, look, we got this power surge going on. Take care of it now. Like, we got to make sure this gets taken care of. They didn't know what was going on. Drops in, starts working the clones, and then all of a sudden, my man with the does the multiverse is like, he pulled out every single one of them, like different multiverses, the clones, and I said, yo, where the hell did he get? Like, how did he find time to find all these people? Like, it's like they just popped in. He was like, "Yo, don't kill him. I need him alive."
That's is he apparently he had already enlisted their help before.
Yeah.
So he already enlisted their help before, and he kind of had them on standby in the other universes. So that way he could just like open the freaking portals and just like send them through and shit.
But I'm not gonna lie, that this part was fire though. Yo, they beat the absolute shit out of Invincible. Like they almost buried him. And he was like,
yeah,
nah,
they legit almost took him out.
Yeah, he was like, nah, don't do it. Cut it out. Stop. Cut it out. My man said, all right, you know what? You're not gonna listen to me. Took the helmet off, just blew everything up. Yo, when they lifted up, well, of course the fake Justice League came in and rescued him. When the clone got up, all his joint was just going. Like he looked like I don't even know. I can't even think of what it was that I couldn't think. Like he looked like basically a larvae, which is covered face. And I was like, oh, that looks nasty. But
yeah, like half of his body was blown up and shit.
And then so it was so like he was like, oh, he thought it was his twin, and he was like, talking to him, and then all of a sudden you see the multiverse dude messed up so bad that he didn't realize that what he got was from all his past cells. I don't want to say past cells, all his multiversal cells, and now he wants to kill Invincible. So I was like, yo, this is going to be great. This season is going to be really good.
Angstrom Levy, by the way.
I don't know. Langstrom Levy.
Angstrom Levy.
Angstrom Levy. Okay, reminds me of Langstrom. But I was like, yo, this is going to be a fire season of Invincible. And then I found some other things out that I'm not going to spoil. I'll spoil it like next week, but I was excited. Like, I'm really excited for this season. Like, I really can't wait to watch episode 2. I'm actually going to watch, like I said, I'm going to watch it tonight. No, I'm not. I'm watching tomorrow, right before I watch the Jets game, because the Jets game is not until like 8 o'clock. So tomorrow's definitely going to be watched.
For sure.
At D&D. I'm excited. It's pretty fun.
Oh, nice. Well, shoot, dude. I think it's probably about time for your heart out now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but I have to wait a little longer. So yeah, I mean, I just want to hear what you thought about episode 1. Excuse me.
Episode one was it was so sick. I mean, like it sets up everything that's going to be happening for this season. Uh, like I'm really curious if that Mauler twin is going to end up finding his clone, or if he's just going to end up, making a new clone like he did in season one. Uh, like I don't remember 100% because I never read Invincible, but I have watched like Comic Explained run on Invincible.
Hmm.
So I just can't remember 100% where this is all going. I know that like I have an idea of where it's gonna end up, but in the long run, like I feel like it's gonna be dope as shit.
Yeah,
Because with the character like Angstrom Levy, like I feel like he's really gonna. From what I know from the comics, he is like more or less like Mark's nemesis and shit. Um, Seeing the Guardians of the Globe, they're pretty funny just in general because Rex Splode is kind of a dick. So having him is he's like a dick and shit, and then like on top of that, like they brought the Immortal back, and the Immortal's like taking over as leader for Guardians of the Globe now, and he's basically
they,
like putting them through their paces and like putting them in training and shit.
mm-hmm. Uh,
Um, they added somebody. Did they add somebody new to
yes, they did. His name
the
is
team?
Bulletproof,
Bulletproof, right. He
and
basically
Bulletproof
has the
gave it to Ricochet.
same.
Oh, Rex
What?
Splode. He gave it to Rex Splode. He was like, "Yeah, I know the kind of person you are," and,
Right,
and then just like point everything out. And Rex Splode was like, "Damn, damn, damn."
right, exactly. Freaking Bulletproof. He looks different in the show than he did in the comics. In the comics, he legit basically wears the same suit as Invincible
Mm-hmm.
because him and Invincible basically have the same powers. Not the
Ah,
same
damn.
powers because Invincible obviously he has Viltrumite powers and shit like that,
Hmm.
which are but he has like the invulnerability that Invincible does. You know what I'm saying?
So
So
it's just
basically,
like
they have
Superman
like
and
he's
Icon.
on par. Say what?
So it's like what Superman and Icon.
Pretty much right. So, but so yeah, he has like the invulnerability that Invincible does. So and his name is like a play off of Invincible too. So it's bulletproof instead of just Invincible. So they really here, hold on, let me see if I can find
Oh,
a picture of him.
yep. My call has been made.
All right then.
Yeah, you gotta send that to me. So I gotta see this
I'm just trying to think. I'll save Doom Patrol. I think
next
for
week
next
or
week
yeah.
because I really loved Doom Patrol, dude. Like I caught up with it really quick, and I ended up really loving it. So like, here, hold on, I'll just show you really quick. So like, that's Bulletproof's first suit, I think, in Invincible. At least I think it is. I can't remember 100%. And I don't remember if at one point I think maybe Bulletproof takes over for Invincible. I don't remember exactly, but like that's him as freaking like basically wearing the same suit and shit.
That's comical. That is comical.
I could be wrong. I feel like, and somebody could always, you guys can
Tell me
comment
like,
below and to correct me if I'm wrong because I'm sure I am because I don't know this comic back and forward like a lot of other shit, but like I think maybe at one point Bulletproof takes over for Invincible.
Hmm.
And instead of being bulletproof, he is invincible. You know what I'm saying? But like, I mean, right here it looks like he's flying and shit. So like, but yeah, it's pretty cool one way or another. Like, it's just bulletproof as invincible. But excuse me. Oh, my co-host has left the screen. Oh, there he is. All
Yep.
right.
Sorry.
Is the wife calling?
Yep. It's time for me to go.
All right. Well, we'll cut. I think next week we'll circle back and we can talk about some Doom Patrol, and then we'll talk about some more MCU stuff because there was a lot more that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Too, really quick before you go, this was also quick breaking news item that popped up over the week. But the SAG after strike is officially over, guys. The actor strike is complete is over with. We can inform you next time of what the notifications are, or what the things are. But you know, as of right now, it's over. I believe everybody's voting on the the stipulations and stuff like that, and trying to ratify those changes. But hopefully soon we start getting actors working. We start getting the writers. I mean, the writers are already working, so like hopefully everybody's happy, and then we can get the ball rolling with some more entertainment. So, but
Yeah. I'm excited for. I'm definitely excited for this. I can't wait. We need our things back. But yeah.
yeah,
Definitely touch
but
more on that Marvel stuff.
yeah, for sure. Well, I'm gonna let you get out of here, my friend. Thanks everybody for joining us. If you joined us live, if you catch us on the replay, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Join us next time. We'll be hopefully here within a week, talking about some more nerd stuff. Maybe giving you some class on some other stuff. But until next time, guys, class dismissed.